What's up YouTube, Jason here with Bite My Bits. Today I bring to you how to install PlexWatch and PlexWatchWeb on Windows for, you guessed it, the Plex Media Server. Starting off, I have to say that this might be a deep rabbit hole for a lot of users. During my quest of installing this add-on for Plex, I ran into a few random hurdles. Nothing terribly difficult to overcome, but for some users they could have proven challenging. So before you go too far into this video, you need to know that this might test your patience just a little, and to get everything to work, you will need the Plex Pass. Okay, so what exactly is PlexWatch and PlexWatchWeb? Well, PlexWatch is a server add-on for Plex that will monitor your log files and create notifications for certain events to help you monitor your server. It can tell you via email, Growl, Twitter, and a number of other different options. Most notably is via a simple-to-read log file. PlexWatchWeb is exactly what it sounds like. It gives you a graphical user interface via a web browser and uses that information from the PlexWatch to make everything easy to read, and it gives you some pretty little graphs. You might be looking for these add-ons if you share your library with someone and want to know exactly how much they use it. Or maybe you want to make sure that the kids aren't staying up too late or even watching the wrong videos. Whatever the reason, you are here, so chances are you need a little bit of help. And by a little bit of help, I mean a lot of help, because the instructions that come with the add-on are somewhat vague in a few places, and they really need to be improved. But hey, that's what I'm here for. Okay, let's just get started. The first thing you need to do is download a few things. I recommend starting the download for XAMPP. I only say this because when I started downloading it, it took a while because it was a little slow, so I recommend starting with that. As we go throughout this tutorial, please note that every file that I tell you to download will be linked down in the description. If said link does not work anymore, please feel free to let me know in the comments and I'll try to get them fixed. But in the meantime, you can do a simple Google search to find the file. XAMPP is a PHP development package that throws Apache, MySQL, PHP, and Perl into an all-in-one installer. It comes with a nifty little control panel and is just overall really easy to use. On top of that, it's free. If you already have MySQL and Apache running on your computer, then you probably don't need this. And just in case you're scratching your head right now wondering if you already have it running on your computer, then I can tell you that you probably don't. This is usually something that people go out of their way to get with the intentions of either doing web development or web hosting from their computer. It's not something that just comes stock with the regular Windows version that you run at home. Now that you have XAMPP downloading, you are going to need the PlexWatch zip file and PlexWatchWeb zip file from GitHub, along with the cacert.pem file. Okay, after you have these downloaded, extract the PlexWatch master file and copy it to your main OS drive. This is usually your C drive. Then rename it to only say PlexWatch. Make sure that all of these extracted files are in this folder and not in another subfolder inside the one you just created. Now go ahead and rename the config.pl-dist-win32 file to only say config.pl. Okay, go ahead and open up your Plex Media Server web screen and then go over to your settings. Click on the Server tab and then hit the Show Advanced button. If you scroll down a little, you need to make sure that these two options for server logging are enabled, and then hit Save. Then highlight the folder path to your application data shown here and copy it by either right-clicking or hitting Ctrl-C. Now head on back over to the new folder that you just created and find that config file that I just had you rename. Open it up with your favorite text editor and let's make a few changes. The first thing you need to do is change the server log location. So highlight everything it has between the two apostrophes here and delete them. Then paste in the new folder location. After the word local, type 2 backslashes, then Plex Media Server, 2 backslashes, then logs, and then 2 more backslashes. You might have noticed that there is only 1 backslash between each word before this, so go ahead and add a second backslash to each one. Your full folder location should look a little like this. At the top here, change the data directory to C:\\\PlexWatch with no spaces, and then 2 more backslashes. Now, if you have your server configured to require authentication on local networks, then you will need to put in your username and password here. Then you should make sure that you have your server location set correctly. Keeping it as localhost should work, but if you want to, you could also change it to your computer's internal IP address. You can make many more changes to this config file, but for now, let's just focus on getting you up and running. So go ahead and save your changes and either shrink or close this file. Now we need to get you into your command prompt. The easiest way to do this is just go to your start menu and type in the search CMD and press enter. Once you're in, type in cd space C:\\PlexWatch and press enter. Then type plexwatch.exe and hit enter again. You should see it say something about creating backups at this point, but if you do see any errors, then go back to your config file and make sure to check things over. If you didn't, then hit your up arrow key to repeat the last command and press enter again. It should now just go to the next line after a few seconds and not say anything else. This is good. Keeping this window open, go over to your PlexWatch folder and create a new text document and rename it to plexwatch.log. Then, on either your web interface or any other device you have, start playing a movie in Plex. After, go back to your command prompt, press the up key, and then rerun the plexwatch.exe file. Now stop the movie and run the file again. After you did all this, open up the new file that I just had you create called plexwatch.log and take a look inside. You should now see the movie that you started and stopped in here within a few different lines. If so, then congratulations on completing your first big step. If not, rewind this video and try to figure out where things went wrong. I should note that if you have your file extensions hidden in Windows, then you need to unhide them to make sure that your log file doesn't still have a .txt extension. So assuming you have gotten this far and everything has worked out for you, then now you have to set PlexWatch up as a task to run constantly with your machine. To do this, we're going to get into the Windows Task Scheduler by simply going into your Start menu and searching for Task. You should see it pop up right away, so go ahead and click on it. If you're having any trouble finding it, then you could also go through your Control panel under System and Security and then Administrative Tools. It's good to know that you may run into an error here when you first launch the Task Scheduler. I did, but I don't remember the exact error details. All I remember is that I had to go into the System Services and start a Task Scheduler, but I couldn't do that either because I also had to start a service called Remote Procedure Call, or RPC, because it wasn't running. If you run into issues that you don't know, make sure to search for the exact error on Google and you should be able to fix it fairly easily. Alright, now that we are on the task schedule, from the top menu, click Actions and then click Create Task. You should see this screen and be on a General tab. So go ahead and in the name type PlexWatch Notify. Then down a bit further, select Run whether user is logged in or not. And then make sure to check the box to not save passwords and to run with higher privileges. Okay, now click on the Triggers tab and at the bottom click on New. From here, we're going to make sure that it's set to run on a schedule and for every day. In addition, we want to repeat the task every 1 minute. By default, you might not actually see an option for 1 minute, but it's okay. You can just manually type in 1 minute. When done, make sure that the box is checked that says Enabled at the bottom, and then click on the Actions tab. From here, we are going to click on New again, and then select Start Program as the action. In the settings, you should see a Browse button that will let you navigate to your PlexWatch folder that should be on your C drive, and then find the file named plexwatchnotify.vbs. Once you select that, look for the Start In box under it and type in the location of the PlexWatch folder. It's easy to just copy and paste it from the box above that links to your VBS script. Just make sure not to include the file name. Now we can click OK and OK again, but you will need to repeat this process with the recently added script. Just in case you need it, I'll go ahead and throw a link at the bottom to rewind to that exact point. Just make sure that instead of running it every 1 minute, change it to something like 5 minutes. If you don't understand what I mean by recently added script, I'm talking about the other VBS file that was named PlexWatch recently added.vbs. Once you're done, go back to the main task scheduler screen and navigate to the newly created task. To make sure that they work, right-click on them and select Run. Hopefully, you won't get any errors. Believe it or not, you actually have PlexWatch more or less set up. You still need to set up your form of notifications and customize usernames, but for the purpose of this video, you're actually good to go. If you would like to set those things up, I won't be covering those in this video, but you can check out the config.pl file and it should all seem fairly easy to do. For this video though, we are going to continue with setting up the PlexWatchWeb. This is the nice little web interface that you get that allows you to see everything going on with your server. To do this, we're going to need that XAMPP file that we started downloading earlier in this video. And yes, there are other options out there, and I know that some of them may be better than others, but this is the one that I chose when I was going through this installation, so this is how I'm going to teach it. There's no reason to tell me why the program you chose was better. Go ahead and run the installation file, and when you're presented with installation options like this, make sure to select Apache, MySQL, PHP, Perl, and phpMyAdmin. All the other options are not needed to proceed, and using the default installation directory will work just fine, but it's up to you. Once installation is complete, leave the box check that says to start the control panel now, and you should be greeted with this screen. From here, we need to make sure everything can run fine. So next to Apache and MySQL, click the Start button. If all goes well, they should start with no issues. If, however, you have something else taking up a needed port, then you might have to change them. You can do this by clicking on the Config button at the top right of this screen. So for example, if you have Skype or maybe even VMware taking up the needed ports, you might have to go through and change these manually. Just pay attention to the arrows at the bottom so you'll know exactly which ports you need to change. Now remember that compressed file that you downloaded earlier called PlexWatchWeb-master.zip? Well, go ahead and extract that now. Make sure to extract it by selecting Extract Here and not Extract to PlexWatchWeb. Reason is that it already has everything in a folder inside the zip file, so extracting it here allows you to avoid having an extra folder. Moving on, we need to rename that folder to only say PlexWatchWeb with no spaces. Then right-click on the folder and cut it, and then go into your install directory of XAMPP. If you kept it as default, then it should be just C:\XAMPP. Look for a folder called htdocs and paste the PlexWatchWeb folder inside this one. Next, go back to your downloaded files and cut the file called cacert.pem. This file will allow you to avoid SSL errors in the near future. Paste this file directly in your PlexWatch directory, unless of course it's already there. Then go back to the installation directory of XAMPP and this time go into the PHP folder. You should now see a file called php.ini. Right-click it and open it with your favorite text editor like Notepad or Notepad+. Once inside, go all the way to the bottom and then add another line. Type in curl.cainfo space =, space, quotations mark, C:\plexwatch \cacert.pem quotation mark. It should look exactly like this. Before we leave this file, let's go ahead and make one more change that's going to come up later anyways, your local time zone. The fastest way is to hit Control F and search for time zone with no spaces. You should find out that it's set to Europe/Berlin right now. Of course, if this is your time zone, then well, leave it be. But if not, then go ahead and change it by going to the website above it to find the correct time zone. For me, I'm in the Midwest or the Central time zone, so I set it to America/Chicago. I will list the common time zones for America on screen, so you can pause this video now and find the best one that works for you. If you got everything set up and changed, then save this file and close it. Now go into your XAMPP control panel, stop the server, and then restart it. Now this is the moment that you've been waiting for, that ultimate feel-good moment when you're seeing all of your results come to life. So go ahead and open up your web browser and in the URL bar type in localhost/PlexWatchWeb with no spaces. Keep in mind here that if you did change your port to a manually specified port because you had some error or something before, then you might have to add a colon and then the port number after localhost and before the slash. This is because you changed the port number and it's a possibility that it's not going to recognize it from the URL bar. If you did it right, then you should now see this amazing screen that just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Go ahead and click the magic little I'm ready to go button. This next screen, you need to configure PlexWatchWeb to work correctly. Make sure to enter in your computer's IP address and not your outside address. I'm talking about your internal IP. Then enter in the ports that you use to set up your Apache server with. Don't be fooled if you see numbers in them already. Those are just examples and they're not real numbers. I know this because I thought they were real numbers and I clicked save and it told me I was stupid. Anyway, under the PlexWatch database, type in the location of your PlexWatch folder, which should be C:\plexwatch, and then add another slash and type in plexwatch.db. It should look a little like this. Then, if you want access to this from outside your network, enter in your plex.tv credentials here. Once done, hit the save button. Now you get to sit back, crack open another beer, and soak in the glory that is PlexWatchWeb. From here, you can see stats about how many of what type of media you have, like movies or TV shows. You can also see what's playing and by whom. Plus, you can also see all of the recently added videos at the bottom. I think from here that as long as everything is up and running, then you should be able to explore the rest yourself. Congratulations on sticking with it and not feeling too overwhelmed. I gotta say though, I really wish that I would have had a video like this when I was trying to get everything figured out. It seemed like every tutorial that I found online had a lot of holes in it that the writer just assumed that the user would know. But hey, that's what made this thing fun to figure out, and I hope that others will find this video useful. If you did, show your gratitude by clicking the like and the subscribe button below. And if you have any other interesting Plex challenges, make sure to tell me about them in the comments. You never know, I might make that into a video too. As always, guys, thanks for watching.